what I'm going to say is in honor of the Jahrzeit, which we have Motzei Shabbos. So I will mix something about the Parsha and something about the Jahrzeit, general idea of continuity, Jahrzeit. The Parshas Vayelech starts with a very interesting posuk that Moshe said, "V'yomer aleim b'mei esrim shana anochi hayom lo uchal od lotzes v'lover." I'm now Meir v'esrim shana, and what he Meir v'esrim shana is a very nice age, but what is particularly pointed out by Moshe Rabbeinu is la'uchal lotzes v'lover. What does that mean? The Targum Yonis ben Israel says, "Vayelech Moshe ozal lebei ulpana." The ulpana means he went to the Medrash. What does that mean? So the Chortkova had a beautiful hesber. He says, every important person, every godel, every tzaddik, every very smart person has to have an ability to be able to relate and to connect to all kinds of degree of people with different qualities, different levels. A tzaddik can relate to a tzaddik, to a Talmid Chacham in one way, and he can relate to a person who is a balagola, the simple person. He relates a different way, but he connects to him. This is a special tchune of a tzaddik, and a special tchune of a person who is of importance. Moshe Rabbeinu came to the age of 120. He said, "I'm losing that madrega. I see that I'm now flattening out. I'm at my level, but I can't play the whole piano from the simple person to the tzaddik. I'm losing it, and I'm giving it over to Yeshua. But this I can't do anymore." It's very good what the Yonis ben Israel says. Vayelech lebeis ulpana. He went to Beis Medrash to himself to learn on his level. No problem. You can learn as long as you want. They say that the Chortkova, the stellt zu. This is what Reb Avrohom ben Zakkai said to his Talmidim. He told them, go away from your high level and go down and come back and tell me what is the best midah. And the Taka came back with simple things. Ein Tov, left. Just one sentence. My father had this quality, and I will never forget one specific experience that happened when he was nifter. Those who very few remember it. Nobody remembers, but there were so many people who came to the Levaya that I took a plane to Eretz Yisrael, and there was one person in the plane that I was wondering whether he's coming for the fun of it, for this ride, because I didn't know that he was so. We had such a kesher with my father, with me, and somehow it seems that the person, it's somebody you all know, but of course I wouldn't mention his name. It's somehow the person realized that I'm wondering, what are you doing here? So he went out of his way to ask me to speak to me 2 minutes on the plane. He said, "I want you to know that I know that you're wondering what I'm doing here. I had a very, very difficult period in my business life." He was very young at that time. He was a very young person. He was 35 maybe. I had a very, very difficult period in my business life, and I asked for a meeting with your father. Of course, not hoping that he will give me a meeting, but he immediately told me to come. But what was shocking to me was that not only did he take me in, I saw in the other room my father had this crazy structure where he had 3 waiting rooms. And very often there were people waiting at the same time, he took one. Huh? So I saw very important people waiting there, and he gave me 20 minutes of his time. He says it built me up in such a way that I will never forget him for the rest of my life. I am nothing. He knows that I'm in trouble. He doesn't have to give me a meeting. If you give me a meeting, give me 5 minutes and let me go. He says that was his remembrance of him. There's an incredible, beautiful word talking about giving over, talking about continuity. On Pirkei Avos, till 15 years ago, I used to say Pirkei Avos, so I had the opportunity, the privilege to see a lot of nice things. One of my best challenges was on the same members in Pirkei Avos to compare what the Lubavitcher says and what the Satmar says. On the same member, the Lubavitcher would say, "This shows you that you have to do chutzah, you have to help," and others, and the Satmar would say, "This shows you that you can't, you should have to be marchik, people who are not." No, but it was very, very interesting. But the Satmar, both of them, brilliant. And I will just say over the Satmar word, which I think is very, very special. Ezeu derech sheyivu le'odam, derech yeshor sheyivu le'odam, perek beis. So the Mishnah says, "Tiferes lo yiseo," it should be good for the person. But Tiferes lo ben odam. Those who have learned Pirkei Avos often know that the Bartanura of our north is very simplistic and difficult to accept, because the Bartanura says that don't give away too much money because you'll be a poor man. Don't give too little because then you'll have a bad name. It's too balabatish. Somehow it's difficult to accept. And there are many, many other pshat in the Maral. The Satmar says a very, very special pshat. It says, that you should pick a way that you have to do the right thing. On that there is no compromise. But there's another element. That he should teach other people to do the right thing. So the Yismach Moshe said in the name, quoting the Chidah, it says, everybody asks, Tfilas Hashem Medaber, Tfilah, we know, is Avodah Shebelev. Why do you have to speak it? It's Avodah Shebelev. Tfilas Hashem Medaber. Why? Because somebody else should also copy me. If I would do the Avodah Shebelev, you would be Yotzei Tfilah, but you wouldn't be teaching other people to copy you. So in order to have other people copy you, so he says this is what it means, the Tiferes le'oseo and Tiferes le'min odom. On that there is an incredible medrash. The medrash says, I quoted the medrash Rabbah, V'Avrohom zoken bo bayomim. And Avrohom is reached zikna. Hador dichsiv yofyofis mibnei odom hutzak chen besifsei sechar. You have the most beautiful species of the species of Bnei Odom. Yutzak chen besifsei sechar. Your lips have chen. Why did the lips have chen? That's exactly that. Because you were the one who started, was showing everybody else, everybody else followed and became of the Hashem. The small ones, the big ones, everybody. We continued, that's why Kodesh Baruch Hu is benching you forever. So the Satmar Rub says, Hashem Beres HaKol means HaKadosh Baruch Hu was giving Avrohom the schus of all the people who followed later. So with that, the Satmar Rub explains beautifully, it's the wrong place. Tell me, this matter should be when Avram was pushing and pulling and doing and making. He was Megaya the man, she was Megaya the women. This is the time we should say it. He's an old person. What are you now starting to praise him? No, but it fits beautifully, because now when he's not capable anymore of acquiring people, of convincing people, of going marketing Yiddishkeit. This is the time when it comes to all these credits are coming to get to him. I remember I once used this 15 years ago in a hospital of somebody who had many years didn't know what's going on, and I said to my interpretation, but to my mind, this can explain why some people survive themselves for so long. They don't do anything and they can't contribute anything, but they can keep collecting. By the time they go up, they have collected another 10 years of credits. And I'll never forget, there was somebody there, a visitor Chusset. He came with tears to me. He said, "Ich habe jetzt verstanden, was the Schism." Yeah. Two more thoughts. We know the famous Gemara in the Rishon of Lamed Beis Amud Beis that Omer Reb Avrohom, the Malach HaShores came to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why don't you say Hallel Rosh Hashanah? So Bakant, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers, Sforim shel Chaim shel Meisim ptuchim lefonai v'heim yoimrim shiro. How can you imagine that in the time when we are deciding about life and death, and they will say shir? So the Poshte Pshat that most people learn Balabatish is that Sifrei Meisim, Chaim Meisim means the Sforim of those who can either be Chaim or be Meisim. Every person is a potentially Chas v'Sholom, is on the balance. So this is an opening for him. Chaim Volozhin says a different Pshat which gives it completely new aspect. He says, no, Sifrei Chaim and Sifrei Meisim is Takech Sifrei Meisim. Every year, Rosh Hashanah, all those who are not with us anymore are coming back on the table, and they are judged now. What I said before about Avram Avinu, how many more schusim did he have among his children, his grandchildren, and the others to follow? The last gedank which I want to say is something which 10 years ago I saw in the name of Moshe Wolfson. Very, very interesting. It says in the pasuk about the Nochosh, when he was convincing Odom and Chava to eat from the eighth, HaKadosh Baruch Hu reproaches them, and Odom says about Chava, and Chava says Hanochosh. So the Nochosh, the word that she uses is a very, I think it's probably the only time in Tanakh that it says that word. It says Hanochosh Hasiani, Hishiani. The Nochosh convinced me to do this. Hishiani, stated in Sifri, is the oasis Hayesh Ani. Figure it out. That's it. Hayesh Ani. So the Sifri gave either Merambe something, but Moshe Wolfson built it up in a whole meaning. He says the Nochosh had the koyach to convince both Odom and Chava they are nothing. It's unimportant. They're not any. They're nobody. If they're nobody, they can do whatever they want. It's not relevant. With that, you have an answer, a beautiful answer, the earnest answer to the obvious question, which people forget, but it's an obvious question. What steht dort? In Teuchel is it, Mois Thomas. Oder man reached keine Horde 930 years. Du hast a schnelle Miese, that's what happened. You get the punishment to live not only 930 years. Doesn't make sense. According to what he says, beautiful. If you don't have an ani, you're not living anymore. This is not relevant. Your life has been cut down when from the moment that you don't have you don't have a mission in life, you don't have an orchius, you don't have a goal, then you finished. I'm thinking that this is my own interpretation, but I think it's a very interesting observation that with that gedank you can understand something which until then would always bother me. We daven together with everybody, young, old, everybody. When a 19-year-old boy says "Zechreinu l'chaim," does he really mean that he's going to die in the next 10 years? Hard to believe. And if there's not a great tzaddik, he would have to be a very, very, and have a very vivid imagination. His chances of something happening to his life is very, very limited. With this shot of the Wolfson, it's a different thing. Zechreinu l'chaim, give me something which is content. And that a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old can also, he doesn't want Chaim to vegetate. He doesn't want the Chaim of 930 years of Reb Rishon who was called Moist Thomas. He wants to have Chaim which should have content. That's what we should all have, B'ezras Hashem.